The 35th anniversary of the Mario series is here, and it's a little bit odd, or should I say limited. Nintendo's had some pretty good ideas for the 35th anniversary, from the 3D All-Stars collection to a little Battle Royale online game. The problem? They're all limited. 3D All-Stars is not going to continue printing after March 31st, 2021, and the game we're going to talk about today has a similar deadline. Combining Super Mario Bros. With some elements of the Battle Royale genre, or at least Battle Royale idea, here is my review of Super Mario Bros. 35 for the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to gameplay, this is a competitive online 2D platformer, and as I just said, this is part of the 35th anniversary. It will only be downloadable and playable until March 31st, 2021. And after that date, as far as we know, that's it. You won't be able to download it, and even if you already have, you won't be able to play it. Now let's get into what you can do here. It's got 3 main game modes: 35 player battle, special battle, and course practice. 35 player battle is the normal mode where you go against 34 other players in randomly looping Mario levels. Special battle is an event type thing where it's constantly changing, and instead of random levels, you're sent through a special collection of levels handpicked by Nintendo and the people who run this game. And course practice is just what you'd think. It's kind of like a training mode where you just go into the courses by yourself and practice going through the platforming. Speaking of practice, it's worth noting that this is a completely online game. You can access the main menu without being connected to the internet, but you cannot go into any of the game modes when you're offline. Even if you're in course practice and go into airplane mode, the moment you exit the menu and try to go back in, it'll say, hey, you need to be connected to the internet, and will not let you do anything. Now, once you actually get into the game, the premise is pretty simple. You play through randomly looped levels of Super Mario Bros. 1 with 34 other people doing the same. Your goal is to simply go through the levels and outlast the 34 other players so you get that number 1 spot. Of course, the game wouldn't be as fun if you were just playing the vanilla Super Mario Bros. 1 levels. As you defeat enemies in your campaign, those enemies are resurrected and thrown into other players' levels. It can be any enemy from Goombas and Koopa Troopas all the way up to Bowser. This really shakes things up, as if you don't get moving right away, you will very quickly be moving around 1-1 with a lot of enemies that were not there originally. Also, to shake things up, you've got a timer that is constantly going down, forcing you to gain extra time by defeating enemies and collecting power-ups after you've already gone into the Fire Mario form. You can also use coins that you gain in the stage to do a roulette by spending 20 of them. This can land on anything from a POW block that will defeat all enemies on screen to the various power-ups that you can find in the stage normally, giving you instant access to those powered up forms. With all of this in mind, you're going to be playing through familiar Mario levels, but it will feel far from familiar once you go in for a few minutes, and lots of things will be different. To be honest, when things get crazy, it almost feels like I'm playing Super Mario Maker instead of this game. Now, when you finally end up dying, be that in first place or 35th, you gain experience and coins that you can use later. Experience goes towards leveling up to get game icons for you to use for your in-game profile, and coins can be used when you start a new game, giving you access to special power-ups from the get-go. Speaking of power-ups, the game is admittedly pretty easy if you're constantly moving. I never ended up dying and ending outside of the top 15 players of any match unless I did so intentionally for a daily challenge. Fire Mario can handle pretty much anything and everything the game throws at you with relative ease, especially if you're used to playing the original Mario Bros. This makes the game extremely easy to pick up and play, but it can lead to very long matches. This game is meant for quick play, but if you try to go for that number 1 spot, you're probably going to be spending a lot more than the ideal 5 to 10 minutes on each match. But then we get to the more frustrating thing, and that is how you unlock stages. When you first start the game, you have 2, maybe 3 stages available to you, and you will constantly loop through those 3 stages over and over and over again. Unlocking new stages is all on RNG and luck. If an opponent uses a stage you don't have and you end up going through it in the match, you'll unlock it for use for yourself later on. Alternatively, you can go to warp zones like the famous one from stage 1-2 to be able to go to new stages as well. But what warp zone has available is pretty random. It could be all stages that you've never been to before, or they could all lead to stage 1-1 all over again. What makes this frustrating is that the more stages you unlock, the more you'll loop into, and the less frequent you'll actually go into a warp zone stage to be able to unlock new content. The more stages you have, the harder it is to progress and unlock more. And now let's get into content and length. This is a free game that you can download as long as you have a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, and most matches only last about 5 to 10 minutes in length, unless you're a pro at Mario 1, and in that case, they could last 20, 30 minutes or even more. One thing that definitely helps are the daily challenges. Once a day, you get 3 little goals or objectives that you can do, and they're pretty easy. So it's one of those games that you can have just a daily grind. Boot it up, play it for about 15-20 minutes to get your 3 challenges done, and then wait until tomorrow. Next, let's go into presentation. It might look a little weird having your screen cropped in the middle while you see little tiny thumbnails for everybody else's, but overall the visuals look nice and crisp. It's a nice version of the Super Mario Bros. 1 engine. As far as performance goes, the load times are quick and I didn't have any performance issues. So with that in mind, let's go into battery life. On the original model, Super Mario Bros. 35 has a battery range of 4 hours and 46 minutes up to 6 hours and 4 minutes. On the Nintendo Switch Lite, it has a range of 4 hours and 55 minutes up to 6 hours and 10 minutes. And on the Redboxer V2 2019 model, it has a range of 5 hours and 37 minutes up to 7 hours and 15 minutes. In conclusion, Super Mario Bros. 35 is a fun little pick up and play Royale style game. Now on the downside, it gets harder to unlock new stages the further you get with the RNG system. The game can become very easy and long with matches, and the fact that this game will only be available for a few more months and will then be gone forever is a huge bummer. But despite this, it's a fun little game if you like the original Mario Bros. And should definitely be played while it still can be. Reviews to Go rates Super Mario Bros. 35 for the Nintendo Switch a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.